Today we're peeling back the curtain on one of the most misunderstood and ancient ways of eating, the carnivore diet. And spoiler alert, I'm a big fan. Not because it's trendy or edgy, but because the truth, the biology, and the history all say the same thing. We were made for this. Now, I know, just saying carnivore makes some people clutch their kale, but before you roll your eyes or assume that I'm about to tell you to eat steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with a side of ribeye, hold tight. Because this isn't hype. It's about the oldest human diet and the science that supports it, and the truth most people don't hear, especially women our age who are constantly told to just eat less and move more. Please, we've tried that. Welcome to Loving Life Over 50, where we don't count calories, we count on common sense, real food, and a little science and humor to guide us home. If you've been bombarded by diet trends, confused by conflicting advice, or told that meat is suddenly public enemy number one, take a deep breath. You're in the right place. Now let's talk the human blueprint and why meat is in our DNA. Let's start with the basics. Humans are meat eaters, not by accident, but by design. When we look at the fossil record, it tells a very clear story. Homo sapiens didn't become the dominant species because we were great foragers. We rose to the top because we hunted. We ate our meat and our brains exploded in size because of it. In fact, isotope analysis of ancient human bones reveals that for tens of thousands of years, our diet resembled those of apex predators, higher even than wolves. We weren't just meat inclusive, we were meat dominant. And here's where the magic really happens. When we started eating fatty animal foods, our brains developed more folds. Our cognitive abilities skyrocketed, and ladies, our fertility and hormone balance thrived. Try building a brain or a baby with fiber and lentils. I'll wait. The Industrial Revolution is where things began to go sideways. Now let's hit the brakes and fast forward to the last 150 years. Because if you're wondering why our health has declined, it didn't start with menopause, ladies. It started with manufacturing. Before the Industrial Revolution, food was pretty simple. We ate meat, eggs, butter, and whatever we could grow or locally hunt. But as factories took over food production, everything changed. Here are some fast facts for you. In 1900, the average American consumed under 5 pounds of sugar per year. Today, it's over 150 pounds per person per year. Industrial seed oils like soybean, canola oil, and corn oil were virtually non-existent until the early 20th century. Now they make up nearly 20% of the total caloric intake. Ultra-processed foods now account for 60% of the American diet, and that number jumps even higher for women over 50 who rely on diet snacks, frozen meals, and low-fat everything. And what's the result? Obesity has tripled since 1975. 1 in 2 adults now has prediabetes or diabetes. Autoimmune conditions, mood disorders, gut issues, hormone crashes, they've all exploded. We didn't evolve for this. Our bodies are ancient, but our environment, highly modernized, highly artificial, and highly confusing for our metabolic machinery. So what do? We don't need a time machine. We need to eat like humans again. Now let's talk carnivore as a metabolic rehab. Think of the carnivore diet not as a fad, but as a metabolic reset button. When you strip away processed junk, plant toxins, and inflammatory oils, you're giving your body the clarity that it craves. You're removing friction from your biology. Animal foods are uniquely healing because they are nutrient dense. Things like liver, eggs, red meat, and sardines are packed with bioavailable vitamins and minerals. They're easy to digest. That means no bloat-inducing fibers or hard to break down lectins. They're anti-inflammatory. When you're not triggering immune reactions to gluten, grain, soy, or seed oils, your inflammation drops dramatically. And for women over 50, this is gold. You don't just lose weight, you regain energy, clarity, better sleep, less joint pain, and a better mood. Now, I'm not saying this is magic. I'm saying it's biology, finally working in our favor. Now, let's talk a little bit of myth busting with science, because nothing ruffles feathers quite like a woman confidently eating a steak. Now, myth number 1, you need fiber to poop. Nope. Fiber can actually irritate an already inflamed or sluggish gut. On Carnivore, many people report more regular, more complete, and less painful digestion. Why? Your gut doesn't have to battle every bean and broccoli floret like it's a war zone. Myth number 2, red meat causes heart disease. Let's clarify this. The studies that demonize red meat were based on observational data, aka food frequency questionnaires, and people who also smoked, drank, didn't exercise, and ate fast food with their meat. Not exactly the picture of a rib-eye only lifestyle. In fact, recent meta-analysis where researchers re-examined decades of data found no significant evidence that unprocessed red meat increases cardiovascular risk. Zero. Nada. Now, myth number 3, you'll be deficient in nutrients. Let's play a game. Guess what has more vitamin B12, spinach or steak? Hint, it's not the plant. What about heme, iron, zinc, retinol? You get the idea. You're not sacrificing nutrition, you're prioritizing absorption. Now, how it transforms real women. I've coached thousands of women who were eating perfectly salads, lean proteins, green smoothies, and still felt miserable. They come to me with bloat, brain fog, depression, and constantly hungry. But when they made the switch to keto, ketovore, or carnivore, the shift was powerful. That stubborn belly bloat, gone. Mood swings and sugar crashes, balanced within a week or 2. Weight loss, absolutely in just a few weeks. And more importantly, freedom from cravings, snacking urges, and guilt. This way of eating simplifies your life. No labels, no portion panic. You're not living in fear of food. You're finally in a relationship that makes sense. Now, carnivore isn't an all or nothing. Let me be clear, you don't need to go full liver and kidneys overnight. Carnivore isn't a cult, it's a tool. It's a way to remove the noise and figure out what actually works for your body. Some women thrive on strict carnivore, like me. Others do better with a more flexible ketovore or keto approach. Think 90% animal-based with room for an avocado or a handful of berries now and then. The key is that you get to decide based on how you feel, not how someone else eats. And it's okay to experiment. Your body is the best feedback loop that you have. And if meat helps you feel better, think clearer, sleep deeper, and show up stronger, you should own it. Now let's talk about the doctors who changed the game of carnivore. The doctors who have blown the lid off traditional nutrition advice and have the credentials to back it up. Let's start with Dr. Shawn Baker, one of the most visible carnivore advocates out there. He's an orthopedic surgeon, former world record-holding athlete, and founder of Rehab Health. After decades in medicine and seeing patients fail on low-fat, high-carb diets, he went full carnivore himself. Not only did he reverse his own joint pain and metabolic issues, but he's collected thousands of patient success stories. His platform is a goldmine of case studies, research breakdowns, and blunt, no BS truth bombs. Sound familiar? Then there's Dr. Saul Paladino, also known as the Carnivore MD, originally trained in psychiatry and functional medicine. He made a radical pivot after his own health struggles didn't respond to traditional approaches. He went all in on the science of animal-based nutrition, publishing books, hosting podcasts, and even debating mainstream plant-based doctors. He dives deep into evolutionary biology, nutrient density, and the hormonal impact of carnivore, especially for women dealing with adrenal fatigue, burnout, and infertility. Another powerhouse, Dr. Anthony Chaffy, a neurosurgical resident who lays out the historical and scientific case for carnivore in some of the clearest terms that I've seen. He talks extensively about how plant toxins, yes, even in your healthy greens, can disrupt your hormones, damage your gut lining, and promote chronic inflammation. And we can't forget about Dr. Ken Berry, a rural family doctor turned YouTube powerhouse. He's helped hundreds of thousands of people transition to low carb, ketogenic, and carnivore diets to reverse type 2 diabetes, obesity, and autoimmune disease. And he says it plainly, meat heals, period. What's important here is that these aren't internet influencers pushing trends, fads, and products. These are medical professionals, many of whom risked their reputations to challenge the outdated dogma of the food pyramid. And they're not talking theory, they're talking real patients, real lab results, real healing. Here's what's exciting. The medical world is finally starting to pay attention. That gets me very excited. We've now got peer-reviewed studies showing carnivore can dramatically improve insulin sensitivity, lower markers of inflammation, and even support mental health. One recent survey from Harvard University, yes, Harvard, of over 2,000 carnivore dieters found 93% reported improvements in overall health, 95% had improved digestion, and 66% resolved a chronic condition. And get this, 0 reported scurvy, nutrient deficiencies, or health complications from eating only animal foods. Let that sink in. No fiber, no fruit, no plants, and people are getting better, not worse. You know what that tells me? That maybe, just maybe, we've been blaming the wrong foods. And you know what else? You don't see anyone needing a support group to stop eating lettuce. But giving up sugar and processed carbs, now that's an addiction. Carnivore isn't about being perfect. It's about breaking free from what's been keeping you stuck for years. So here's the deal. We've got doctors backing it, data supporting it, and your own instincts whispering, what if this finally works? Carnivore isn't about dogma. It's about freedom. Freedom from bloating, cravings, chronic fatigue, and an endless loop of dieting disappointment. It's not just about eating meat. It's about eating the food your body recognizes as fuel. And if this feels radical, that's okay. Radical healing often requires radical honesty. And if you've been told for years that you're broken, that you just need to try harder, eat less, or work out more, you deserve a second opinion. So try it, test it, trust your body, and if it includes butter, bacon, and a big old ribeye, even better. So here's the truth. Carnivore isn't extreme. What's extreme is thinking that we can out-supplement, out-exercise, or out-starve decades of processed food, hormone disruption, and chronic stress. What's radical is trusting your body, nourishing it with real food, and getting back to your roots. You're not broken. You're just underfed, overstressed, and overdue for a metabolic reset. If you're ready to stop chasing diets and start reclaiming your health, this might just be the sign that you've been waiting for. And if it involves a juicy ribeye, even better. Now, if you found this helpful in any way, please let me know with a quick like. And don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone that you care about. And until next time, be good to yourself and be good to others.